2019 F350, but this applies to any 2015 and up F series period. 150, 250, 350, 450, Expedition, Navigator. If you have this button set up, we've got a problem here. Now, I already have a video on how to initialize or program these sunroofs, but that's just how to do it. And it didn't really have, the one I did it on didn't have an issue or anything. That was just a how to do it in general. This truck actually has an issue, and I am about 95% sure that initialization is going to fix it. So I wanted to film it, and I'm going to show you the issue, and I'm going to show you it, and hopefully it's going to fix it. This is sort of a live diagnosis here. All right, so what's the customer's complaining about here is when the glass is coming forward to shut, when it hits, when the lower guide encounters this the arm for the deflector, it bounces back. Now, glasses are supposed to bounce back if they encounter, like, say, if you got your hand up in here, right? Or, you know, something sticking up through here. If it encounters too much resistance, it's supposed to bounce back. It's a safety feature, because you would not believe how unbelievably strong those motors are. They could literally break your finger if they didn't have some kind of safety mechanism. They could break your wrist or your arm. They're super duper strong. Especially with all the leverage they have between the cables and the guides and all that. They could really hurt you. So they have this safety feature built in. When you initialize it, the problem is from the get-go, usually, they'll bounce back on any amount of pressure. When you run the initialization or programming, what it does is it goes all the way vented, and it jams it as far forward vented as it possibly can. And then the sunshade shuts, and it jams itself forward as far as it possibly can. And then the shade opens and does the same thing in the rear. And then you let off the button, and the glass comes down, goes all the way to the rear, and it stops. And at that point, you let off the button. You're going to see that anyway. But anyway, what it's doing there is it's finding all the limits. But the other thing it's doing is finding how much pressure this deflector is giving. And so the little module or computer or whatever you want to call it inside the motor can allow for that, and allow it to say, okay, well, I can feel this much resistance, and that's okay. I'm still going to push through, but if I get much more than this, I'm going to bounce back. Well, here's what it's doing. See that? As soon as it touched it, it bounces all the way back. Now that's on one touch. If I hold it, watch this, I'm going to push it and hold it and not one touch it, it'll go ahead and overpower it. Well, maybe it won't. It did most of the time anyway. So anyway, if you push it and hold it once, it'll generally overpower it like that. Okay, so we got a problem. This has come out of initialization. It's lost its mind. It's lost its programming. It's lost its feel. You can call it whatever you want to. There's no rhyme or reason as to why these do it. I mean, maybe this person had a dead battery and they jumped it off and that lost it. You know, it's about like any other computer or phone or anything else. Sometimes you got to turn it off and turn it back on. And that's what we're going to do. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to program this. So what I'm going to do is start it, and I'll run you through the programming real quick. So here's the way I like to do it. This isn't 100% exactly like the book says, but this is the way I like to do it. I'll start with the door open. I start the engine. Now the programming says you only have to have the key on, engine off. I like to have the engine running, because I don't know how good this person's battery is. So if I run this programming and the battery dies, and then they're going to blame me for killing the battery when they know they had a bad battery. So anyway, we're going to start it. More juice, it's better. So I'm going to start it. Lights are going to go off. I'm going to turn this light on. I'm going to turn this light on and off twice, which means 4 presses. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then you turn that one back off. Then you press, release, press, and after about 12 to 15 seconds, the glass will go fully vented and the shade will fully shut. The shade will then open while the glass remains vented. When the shade gets all the way to the back, you let off the button, push it again, and then the glass will shut, fully open, completely shut again. Then the shade will completely shut, and at that point you're done. And at that point, hopefully, this thing won't bounce back anymore. So let's experience this in real time. Started. Shut the door. Lights going off. All right, on. on, off, off, press, release, press. All right, give it about 12-15 seconds-ish. And there it goes. All right, you hear it kind of jam itself. Did you see that little round button right there go all the way to the end of the hole? It'll never go to that end of that hole again unless you program it again. All right, here comes the shade. Hear it kind of clunk. That's completely the limits of its travel. It'll never go that far closed again. It'll always stop about 1 millimeter short. When it's fully back, let off the button, repress the button, repressing the same button now. Note that I'm holding the close button and it is opening. It just went all the way back. Now it's going to shut. Went right over that deflector. Here comes the shade, and when the shade is closed, you are done and you can now test it, and we're going to see if this fixed the problem. All right, let's vent it first. I got a 1-touch vent. Yep, 1 touch closed, 1 touch open. 1 touch close. Here's the moment of truth. Hey, there you go. Now it's programmed again, and then 1 touch the shade shut, I guess. I knew that was gonna work, though. All right, so that is an actual demo of what, I'm gonna go ahead and open it up because I gotta put these little, these bad boys back on because I had it off to slightly adjust the sunroof earlier. So that's a live demo of a actual symptom that programming can sometimes fix. Now, that's not the only thing you could use it for. You know, maybe your 1-touch doesn't work at all. Try this. Maybe it won't fully close. Try this. Now, you also get into the fact that these things break a lot, and if it won't fully close, something else is probably wrong, but it doesn't hurt to try this. So there you go. Questions, comments. There is a live example of what programming or initializing a sunroof can help repair. Thanks for watching.